All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, in the fourth episode of the Goodfolks podcast. And we got a very interesting guest. He's actually he's the nicest person ever that ever met. And wait a minute before you say anything, I'm not kissing your ass or anything. I'm just saying the truth, because that's not something that I'm the only one who said, but also people who went through the experience. You were someone who took in charge like a cultural programs at the U.S. Embassy, and you helped many people to go through experience of educational programs abroad. Welcome to our podcast, Hamdi.
Thank you so much, Raib. I'm very happy and honored to be here.
To be honest, those educational programs, a lot of people don't know about them. A lot of people think that they can go to study in the U.S. only when they pay. They don't know that there are some opportunities out there actually for free. All you need to do is to find the application online, spend some efforts writing it, and boom, you're there. So, do you know why not many people know about those opportunities? Like, what's the problem?
So, let me give you a couple of reasons that I do believe personally. Okay, so that's about what I think. I think first of all, there is a promotion problem. I think a lot of programs, and not just the U.S. Embassy that worked on, there are many others, and I'm sure you know a few. There is a promotion issue. It's not promoted maybe properly, or it's not promoted or targeted by the audience as it should be. And the second thing is that I think the youth, and starting by myself, I'm not youth anymore, I'm 37, but I used to
You're
be
still a young man.
Thank you, but I used to be young and think that it was impossible. That everything is impossible, it's too good for me, it's not going to happen, and it was not something for me, So I think there is, and often when I have the chance to talk to young people about this, I tell them, you never know. You never know. All you need to do is to try and go like as far as you can, and you will see. Like, you only can do what you can, right? So that's why it's always worth it to try, I think.
When you said that many people think that it's too good for me, do you think that we have a crisis of self-esteem where we think that we don't deserve those opportunities?
I used to. I don't know if it's the case of a lot of people, but I used to. And I talked to few people that they were thinking that, and you can even see on Facebook sometimes when institutions or entities are posting stuff, you see in the comments people saying, well, it's for your friends, it's for your family, you will send kids of powerful people, blah, 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 it's not for us. Versus the reality is those exchanges are actually designed for underserved communities, for people who do not have access to such an opportunity if it's not offered by X or Y entity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of those opportunities or some programs, they actually oblige people that they only apply if they didn't benefit from something relevant, like similar like that before. Like, for example, in Berlitz School, in the program of the English, they say that you can only take advantage of this program if you
once.
Once, and if you didn't travel before.
Which makes sense. Wade, because and that was one of my how can I say it? Like, one of my personal policies is that no travel experience, or very limited travel experience, to be selected or pre-selected. And the reason behind it is that we don't want to concentrate all, what I call it, the love or all the wealth in one person or in a group of people. Like, we need to share the wealth as wide as we can.
Yeah, that's true.
But that was my former job, though. Not anymore.
Yeah, now you're working for the UN. How does this experience, like, how did it shift? How did you decide, like, to get into the?
Oh, it's interesting. So here's the thing. When I started working on the youth portfolio back in 2012, because I joined the embassy in 29 and then moved from a section to another. So I was working on the youth portfolio. I started working on the youth portfolio in 2012. And right when I started, I was thinking of my next career plan, like what is my next adventure? And I was thinking that I think if I will leave my current job, it would be for the UN or nothing else, you know? Because first, I'm not someone who would work for corporate. I don't think I'm interested in making rich people more rich, and that's one. And second, I like, you know, the organizational, NGO, government environment.
Maybe it's because of value. You feel that your work has a value. You're making actually impact.
Maybe, could be that. So yes, I decided in 2012 I wanted to go to the UN, but it never happened before 2019. What I got an interview with the with IOM, the International Organization for Migration.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked for them on a project that was really cool. It was about building government officials' capacities in health borders control, and that was amazing. But I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, depends for who. I had the opportunity to apply to work on innovation with another agency, which is UNDP, which is close to what I was doing before, like working with entrepreneurs, working with youth, with solutions holders, and that's why that's how I shifted, and now I'm working into innovation.
Is it like very different word, like an environmental?
Environment is not that different because the international organizations or foreign entities are pretty much working on the same model, if I may say.
Mm-hmm.
But also it's due to globalization that we have like global standards of work. It's not different. It's a little, I would say, it's slightly different in the audience I'm working with, you know? So I used to work with really passionate and sometimes little kids, if I may say, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And interview them and go through the whole process that you know. And now I'm working with more structured people that they have their own projects, they have business models, they know what they want, they know what they are, where they are going. You
so
know
like
what
it's
I mean?
like graduates.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It's more like it's more, maybe if I may say, tailored audience. You know?
Okay.
Yeah, it's not broader as it used to be. It's like a little precise, which is good though.
Yeah, probably the young people that you used to work with and select were just young people who were still trying to find themselves, discover who they are.
Totally, that's exactly.
But
what I
now
meant.
people you work with, they already know what they want, and you're there
Yes.
like to help them.
Yes, and they know exactly where they want your help, like where they want you to bring something. Like they know exactly where.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So tell us what exactly are you working on right now for the UN immigration?
So now I'm working on a couple of projects. Like my official title is Head of Solutions Mapping,
Mm-hmm.
and the solutions mapping is once we identify an issue.
Okay.
My work is to identify solutions around it. So the solutions might be chased like through hackathons or through just call for applications. Call for projects and stuff.
Hackathon, like you organize them, or?
We do organize them, yeah. We do organize hackathons, and we got those solutions to it's whether to work with them directly or to actually give them a direction on where to go.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
Is that all the hackathons like oriented or
We just had
youth?
one. We just had one. For instance, it was about COVID. That's the only one.
Okay, I saw one with about technology and entrepreneurship, I guess.
Yeah. Digital solutions.
Digital solution. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that took place in Algiers. Do you, by the way, are you only active in Algiers, or do you organize like a couple of?
It's nationwide. Our work is nationwide. It's not targeted. It's not targeted in one area. No.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you know,
It's actually worldwide. But we do work with the Algerians wherever they are in Algeria directly. But we belong to a network of accelerators. I don't know if you are familiar with that, because I work in an accelerator lab. It's called Accelerator Lab. So it's a network. It's a big network of 60 labs, I believe, up to grow maybe to 93 very soon. Like they're adding more countries.
all right. Can you give us like a brief explanation what an accelerator lab is?
So the Accelerator Lab is it's a learning place.
Okay.
Where we actually then our network is called the largest learning network, and the goal is to learn what works and what doesn't work. So that's like the big line. We identify an issue. We identify an issue through sense making.
Okay.
And then we do solutions mapping. We pre-select solutions. We conduct experimentations. We experiment it, and that's out of the experimentation we will whether learn it's gonna work or not.
So the problem, the issue has to be, is it like a social issue or?
I mean, our top priority is social and environment.
Okay.
But could be anything else.
Social environment, like for example, plastic.
Yes. Waste management. Actually, that was our first issue we worked on. It was waste management, and then COVID. Right after COVID. So now we're still working on COVID.
Yeah. And then when you suggest a solution, is it when you suggest, like for example, a plan? Okay. And you say we experimented. Is it like the entity of the UN migration who experimented, or
no, UNDP? UNDP, yeah.
Okay.
Because that was my first job, IOM, the International Organization for Migration.
Okay, yeah.
That was my first job, and then I left it to go to
I thought
innovation. It's another
right.
agency. It's a complete.
Okay, I thought it's the
other
same,
thing.
just
No.
different sector.
It's the same. It's actually the same entity, which is the UN. But I was in migration and then moved to development/innovation.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So regarding like the plastic issue, I don't know, but it's a huge problem. It's spoken about all over the world, but in Algeria, it seems that people don't really give a damn or just give it much importance. You see people like throwing trash everywhere, like plastic is everywhere, and you tell them, they tell you that we can just burn them. You just burn them, and it's just going to disappear. But I'm not sure if that's.
Yeah, but I've got good news for you.
Okay.
It started changing because we like it or not, this was not like recycling. We're not used to recycle.
Yeah, we're not used to recycling.
Yeah, and then it's starting, and I know a bunch of good people that they are working on recycling. They're doing great job, but we're gonna start somewhere, because what you see abroad now for
started
instance,
from scratch.
Thank you.
Sometime. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah.
Yeah, you just need to expand the work. Maybe when it succeeds in one place, it will just from neighborhood to another, then from
Totally.
wilaya to another.
Totally.
Yeah. Did you see those machines that exist like in like different European countries where people just bring those plastic balls, and they put them inside the machine? And I just wonder if we had one machine everywhere, like it would just be amazing.
That'd be amazing. I'm gonna talk to you about something that I worked on when I was at the U.S. Embassy, because I had the youth portfolio, but I also had documentary and cinema portfolio as well. So I was working in parallel on that. And in one of the programs that I worked on, I remember we brought two folks from New York City. They have a community channel, and I think it's called DCTV. You can Google it, DCTV. So they're based in Chinatown in New York, and we brought them for their documentary called Redemption. And Redemption is the story of this huge underground community, mostly homeless people that live out of recycling. So they spend their day collecting, bottles and cans and everything else in the city in Manhattan, and then they redeem them in those machines every night. And you see how they are structured and what's their life, and it's a very interesting documentary. I remember we screened it.
Do they do that as volunteers, or it's
No, these are homeless people. Like it's their resource, like
so
resource of living.
So that's how they make the revenues. When
Yes.
they put them in the machine, gives them
Yes.
money, and
Yeah, that's how they live. Yeah.
I think that's a really good way of inspiring people to do good.
Mhm.
Like you just collect the balls and then you get something in
Yeah.
return.
Yeah.
Like instead of paying people,
To
just
do
you
it.
hire people, to go and clean all that. Why do you not provide a machine and everyone can? It's like it becomes a competition. Like
Yeah.
who's gonna gather more balls and put them inside?
Who's
the
gonna get a lot of money as well?
Exactly.
It's because I think that's how the human being is. Like you need motivation. You need incentive. What are you getting out of what you're doing? Okay, you can volunteer sometimes because you have principles and you think it's self-rewarding and stuff, but you cannot do it every day.
Definitely not for all your life. You need money to
You
live.
need something back.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very interesting thing to do here.
And money is always the top driving motivation for people.
Always.
Yeah, but do you consider that very highly when you change from one work to another, or is it also about?
Can you say again?
Do you consider the salary as the top important one when you change from one work to another?
Not the top one, but probably the second one.
Yeah.
But not the top one because like what's the point of getting a job very highly paid, but you know that you will lose whether your health or your well-being in 6 months. It's not worth it, right?
When you say well-being,
Well-being, like the work environment, how close is it to your house? Do you have a parking space? Like simple things. Do you have parking space where to park? How are the colleagues? How is the
are they
work culture?
friendly?
How is the work culture? Is it? Are you happy in the morning when you wake up to go to work? Those things I think are number one, and then number two, salary, obviously, for sure. I mean, I have to work.
Yeah, that's very important. That's very interesting, especially like the work environment, like especially your colleagues. How if they are nice, can you communicate with them? Do you have like this kind of drama going on and stories and everyone slandering each other, behind their backs and like damn, and then sometimes they just you're waiting for the time of the day, like just wait for. Like for example, if you finish work at 4 p.m., you're just waiting for that 4 p.m. to come so that you can go home and relax because you're like
It's pretty much everywhere though. It's pretty much everywhere. Like there is no perfect environment, I believe. Like nowhere.
Really?
Nowhere. Perfect environment? No.
Sometimes people associate that with being an Algerian. Like they go to an Algerian company and they're like, it's just an Algerian.
I think we do blame the Algerians for so many things that are simply human.
That's
It's
a
not
really
Algerian.
good point.
That's
Exactly.
simply human. Because most of the time you say, yeah, the Algerians are like this, the Algerians blah, 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 blah. But the Europeans can be like that if it's not the law and the system, and if there is no structure behind it, they would be even wilder, I can tell you. Like, it's not about, like, I used to be like that. I used to be a person that think, yeah, the Algerians, blah, 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 we're not, doing things right, But with time and with travel, and also with like growing my network and meeting other people from around the world, we're all pretty much the same. It's just a matter of
Structure.
which system is behind you and how is it organized, But that's it.
Yeah. I remember like someone from like I have a friend from France like recently. She's an Algerian, and she said that like people in Europe and in the Algeria are just the same when it comes to COVID-19. There are not like strict measures. They're not gonna wear the mask
Because it's human.
Yeah.
Because it's human. So
Yeah, because like people here were always referring to people who are just messed up and not caring about COVID-19. They say like it's look, they are Algerians. They need to be hit. They need to be hit with a stick, and you need
I
to.
hate it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not a big fan
of that line of thinking.
of this theory that you need to hit people. You don't need to hit people. Like you just need
Educate them.
educate, but also motivate them. I mean, more importantly, lead them to where you want them to go. It's not about hating people. Like it doesn't make any sense, at least to me.
Hmm. Maybe you should start with caring more about the education and the next generation. You know, instead of looking at all the thugs who are in their 20s and be like, you know, like there is no hope for the country because there are many people like those who are trying to get you to pay because you parked your car somewhere where, you know, we're like it's not parking or anything. You gotta find the dude coming from your window or like.
I hate it. I hate it most of the time. Like I don't know if it's not a question of 50 or $100. It's a question of principles. Like, who are you? And
To charge me for something.
to charge me for something that does not even belong to you. You know, it's like the public area is like for all of us. So why would I pay you for this? I totally hate it. Even in my neighborhood, like it happens in my actually neighborhood when I totally hate it.
Yeah, what do you usually do?
Well, they usually let me park because I live there. I mean, I've been living there since 1983, so since I was born, and I think they have to deal with it. I live there. Sometimes I avoid like those interactions because I don't have time or because I don't want to get into drama. So I go to park somewhere else. But sometimes I do park. I just park and that's it.
Yeah, when you see your neighborhood, so people already know you. But when you're like in some strange place, then you have to decide between, you know, like sometimes you just don't want to fight. You want to be in a good mood. You know, you want to have a peaceful day. Like just please go away. You know, and like that's probably what drives some people like to just pay, even though they know that it's unfair, but just go away. You know.
Yeah.
What I always try to tell those people is that like if you're going to charge me to park the car here in a public space, why I'm supposed probably to just come and charge people just and work in the same place? Like, hey, why does this place belong to you? Like, if it's just a weird environment. Yeah, but anyway, so concerning when we talked about the comments that people get when they get selected for programs for free or something, when people are hostile to them, do you also find those comments where they say that like the only people who benefit from those opportunities happen to be living in Algiers, or you're only active in Algiers? What about the other wilayas? You don't care about them? You definitely traveled to many wilayas before, even those places that are very poor.
Isolated, yeah.
Yeah. Did that like change the way you see Algeria before you traveled?
Oh, of course, definitely. What I always say when it comes to this, I always start with Algiers is not Algeria, because a lot of people think that Algiers is Algeria or Algeria is like Algiers. This is definitely not. The environments are very different. People are living in other conditions. I mean, it's their environment most of the time. It's their environment. They grew there. I mean, they grew up there and they were born there. But other wilayas are definitely different.
When you say different environment, is it like social one or economical one, or?
I mean, culturally, traditionally, economically, the regions rise. There is no but also I think in Algeria we have pretty much everything concentrated in big cities. You know, like
Wahran, Algiers,
Constantine, Hannaba, those places, Sétif. So that's why I'm telling you. It's very different. What I can say is that we have a very, very, very beautiful country, a huge potential, and unfortunately, for instance, this year, my bucket list was I go to visit all the places that I didn't see yet in Algeria, you know, like go to Al Ghoufi, go to.
Where is Al Ghoufi located?
Al Ghoufi is a little bit further Biskra. It's
Okay.
between Batna and Biskra. Very beautiful region. Going to different hammams, you know, Hammam Schotin and those very famous hammams. I wanted to go to again to Askrem, you know, to Tamer Raset and climb the Askrem. I wanted to see all those places in 2020. I said that's gonna be my my year, but unfortunately, you know, the circumstances are different now with COVID and with different measures and stuff. So I didn't do it, but I'm still willing to do it because it would be unfortunate if maybe tomorrow it's gonna be like maybe tomorrow we become a massive touristic area and then it's gonna be super crowded and you know like one cannot go and visit what was if I may say across the street before, you know.
Yeah.
So that was my projects for 2020, but unfortunately I mean it's just delayed.
It's gonna take place next year. It's just delayed, right?
Yeah, other places maybe, other places, I can visit other places after summer, like Busada, for instance, or go back to the desert somewhere else. I've never been to Timimon, for instance, so I want to visit Timimon as well.
I don't know much about Busada, but I got this friend who once told me that there like joblessness there is is a thing.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's like a lot of young people that are jobless, and it's just very depressive. So how did that change? How did that change your like? Did anything change in terms of your perspective, like when you visited like different wilayas, regarding how you talk to people, how you treat people, how you view people from the other regions, or?
Actually, I think this is a question of principle. You don't need to travel, or you don't need to see those places.
Treat all people the same.
The same. That's it. It comes from you. You decide to treat people equally or not, whether they are from here, from anywhere in the world. But what actually changed my perspective, or helped me like strengthen my perspective and be very careful in addressing people and stuff, was my work in migration. That was a very important. It was like a paradigm shift, you know.
You know, with migration, you also deal with people outside from Algeria, right?
Most of the time, people outside of Algeria.
So people from Mali and
yes,
the ones who are want to
Sub-Saharan,
cross
mostly
here.
Sub-Saharians, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, mostly Sub-Saharians.
So
yeah, that changed my perspective because I went and I digged into a community that I did not know before, you know, that has been through a lot and has been through crazy adventures to make it that far. So
to make it to Algeria.
I mean, eventually to Europe, because Algeria is most of the time not a destination.
Yeah, it's just a bridge.
Yeah, most of the time it's just not a destination.
How did they make it to Europe? Like through the sea? So they want to come to Algeria and they go through the sea?
I mean, I'm not sure I can tell you.
Okay.
Because
you don't have the authorization?
Yeah. No, because that was part of my previous job confidentiality.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. I'm sure that they go through like very crazy situations. Like
it's very hard for them. It's very hard for them, yeah.
Are they are most of them people coming from places of war, or it's only like poor conditions, living conditions?
No. I mean, probably living conditions. Like you travel for a reason, I think. So probably they're living conditions, but I don't think that much like from war zones and stuff. There are some like the big wars, crises, like Syria, Yemen. There's some, but not most of them. No, I think it's more of chasing a dream, you know.
Yeah. Did you hear about the people from Algeria, the 400 who reached Spain all in one day?
I did over the press. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
It's you know, people keep trying to explain like what's the problem, why do young people like want to take that risk, because there is a great possibility that you might die, in the sea, but they're so willing to take that risk. And I know people from my neighborhood who also want to do that, but the problem is that their living conditions aren't like so bad. There is some room where they can do something, but they're so influenced that Algeria sucks and you're not gonna do anything here, regardless of how much you put efforts. And so they want to cross the sea any means possible. I'm really not sure if you have conversation with young people like that and you try to tell them like, no, and
I did. I think we had a conversation with, do you know that page, Real Algerians?
yeah.
So I had a conversation with the Real Algerians, and we had a long, like several minutes conversation about this.
Is it like a live video?
It was a live on Instagram, yeah.
Okay.
It was a live on Instagram, and they made a blog out of it. That's what they do. I think the main reason, at least to me, and again, that's my personal perspective as a person, I think that the main reason is that they really do not know what's waiting for them once they reach Europe, or once they reach the United States, or once they reach any place they want to go to. They actually have a wrong slash maybe promotional image of those places through what they see, or through what they see on social media or stuff, but they don't know how hard life is in those places.
But sometimes they talk to people, sometimes you find those people are doing live videos, Facebook live videos, like in Europe, and saying like, look, here everything is beautiful, everyone minds their own business, I'm living a great life, and I hope everyone who's there in Algeria can come, and so probably those young people, maybe they get their information from those people who are already there.
True.
Not necessarily from movies. And
True, correct. But I think what is happening and what's gonna happen when you change a country is actually you are going to just change problems. You're gonna change problems.
Very interesting point.
You're gonna change problems from the problems that you used to have here. You don't have them there because it's a different culture, different religions, different beliefs, different I would say ethnicities. So you won't necessarily find the problems you have here there, but you will definitely find other problems that you didn't used to have back home. So for instance, I remember I had a conversation with a very good friend of mine. He's in the US, married to an Algerian, he's American, and we had a very good conversation about like my life, where I grew up, what did I study, things like that. And when I told him that I studied for free, the guy literally, if there is a word more than jealous, he literally wanted to hit me up. He's like, wait, what? You studied for free? And I'm like, yes, I studied for free. I graduated and I work with my diploma and for free, and I was treated for free, even if it was not the best medicine in the world. But we have very good doctors, even if we have weaknesses just like everywhere else. We have very good doctors, and they have been treating me for free, despite all the challenges. And we don't see this until we go to countries where you need $400, $500 to see a doctor. And you'll be like, oh shoot, I used to have this for free, just drive my car, park, and go and see the doctor. And I was not happy about it, So that's why there are things that we don't see until we lose, because we think it's granted, like studying for free, going to hospitals for free, and also few other things like
Yeah, but people say that quality is
sub-diaries.
bad.
That's true. That's true. But are these people ready to pay that money for the high quality? Because what the other people are getting as for high quality, they're paying a lot of money for it.
And they're working more and
Obviously, obviously. Like here in Algeria, you cannot die out of hunger. I've never seen someone dying out of hunger, correct? Have you seen someone dying out of, like you go everywhere, anywhere, any door, you'll be like, I don't have what to eat. I bet you they will give you to eat.
But I think that people are not dying from hunger like everywhere, except like it's very, very like
Depends.
like in many Western countries they have the welfare programs where people can apply.
They do. But what I'm saying, like dying out of hunger, is you need to work very hard to have that standard of life. Like it's whether you have 2 or 3 jobs or whether you have a stupid degree and diploma and you work and you have a stupid salary. That's what I think again. Like it's my own perspective out of my own experience.
Yeah, that's understood. Are you against privatizing like education and healthcare? Don't you think it?
I think we should have both. I think we should have both.
Public one and the private one.
Yeah, I think we should have both, and we should have the choice, because there always be differences in the population, right?
Especially classes.
Always. That's how the word is. Like it's the reality. So I think we should have the choice. But what I think though, and what I'm against actually, is those people who have the means to go and pay for what they are getting, but they get it for free, you know? Like if you have the means to go and pay for a doctor, like I'm up for a system where someone who has the means, they pay for what they got. Someone who hasn't like money to pay for whatever, they get it for free or for like a real symbolic, symbolic price. That's how I see it. I think if you earn money, you need to be responsible for yourself and pay for what you are getting. And if someone hasn't, then they don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, that's understood. I think that many Algerians like who go to live abroad in Western countries, like they don't talk to young people about all of that. Like they tell them probably only about the good side. And when they tell them about the bad side, they're not actually telling them about the bad side. They just don't want them to come, you know? And so, like, there are few people who really tell you about what the reality of things, like what really exists. The reason I said that you're like one of the nicest people ever is because when you were in charge of those like educational programs at the U.S. Embassy, when you have no idea about those programs in the U.S. Embassy, like you never went there and you go there for the first time, like you're just expecting different environment, different people, different class of people that you never, saw before, like diplomats, and so you're just confused, like, and you're just worried about like who's going to interview me, where the hell am I going, what's this place, like because it's like a very different environment, and you're like, and so some people they just lose confidence, they just hesitate, they just lose themselves, they don't even when they know how to speak English, you find them just not knowing how to phrase words, how to come up with like just a simple sentence. And you are always there to facilitate the process and to make the person feel comfortable and that like, no, don't worry, like everything is okay. And I noticed that in my interview, and I met also other people who always say that like that guy is like really nice. And when I met them, like I felt more comfortable. And I don't know what you think about that, but probably it also happens with people who come from different wilayas. Like they're from the south, they come all the way to Algiers, they're gonna be very stressed. And I don't know what you can tell us about that, the experience that you had.
It's very interesting. I remember that myself, I'm like that. Like, I mean, when I'm when I'm up for an interview, when I'm up for an important meeting, when I'm up for anything important to me, I'm stressed. And most of the time, I wish there is someone who's gonna tell me, don't worry, it's gonna be fine. And here's the thing, and it's a very simple thing, and you know, like kind of help you get your self together, you know, instead of being all over the place. So that's why I was doing it. I was doing it in purpose, actually, talking to people and make them comfortable, so that we get the best of them. Because when you get someone stressed, when you get someone freaking out, you will not see what they got inside most of the time, you know. So that's why, like, but also in the meantime, it was not. In the meantime, it was not that. It was not that complicated and that super importantly huge, like to pay attention to every detail. You know what I mean? Like just relax and go for it. You know, I always wanted them to go in that mood. Relax and go for it, and whatever happens, it's fine. You already won. Like you're already here. You know, so that's already a win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you've done several presentations telling people how to apply for an opportunity. Do you usually
Yes.
tell them about that, like how to do a good interview?
Yes, yes. I can share with you the slides if you want.
Yeah, sure.
It's actually on my LinkedIn profile. If you go scroll down to my volunteering experience, you will see volunteer speaker.
So Hamdi Sellami on LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And scroll down to volunteer speaker, and there is a link to that presentation. And this presentation has no copyright. Anyone can use it. Anyone can share it. Anyone can use it to present. They do whatever they want with it.
And it came from your own personal experience.
Yeah.
All right.
And I've been asked from many groups actually during this lockdown, which was great, which was one of the best sides of lockdown. People were asking me to present it and to answer questions and things like that, and I was really I was really impressed first with the questions, but also really happy to do it, so that people can at least benefit from all those years of experience. So yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the mistakes that people do, like in an interview?
So in the interviews, the frequently seen mistakes, if I might call them, the frequently seen mistakes were people learning by heart sometimes their essays.
Oh my God! And you can actually spot that.
Very quickly. The other big mistake that I've seen few times are the people who let other people writing their essays, and you can see it in an interview. Like you can know when a work is coming from someone or not. You know, like when you talk to the person, you can know. And
How do you usually know? You ask them about something they wrote in their essay and they don't know what the hell that is?
because not it could be this, but not this precisely. At least for me, when I see an essay, so I see how the person is reasoning. You know how the person is thinking, and you can tell if the thinking is the same, or if the mindset is the same, or if the perspective is the same. You know, like as an interviewer, you can see this. You can definitely see
But
this.
you know that some people are good at writing in comparison with speaking.
True.
So they could be really good writers. They can
Mhm.
use a lot of beautiful, high-frequency words. But when they are in an interview, like just they lose them.
It's not about just language, not just language. you
Also
know?
ideas.
Yeah, ideas, and also how it was. I would say how it was produced, like this, how this essay came to life. You know, there is someone behind it, and you can, with time and experience, you can know that if the essay comes from this person or not. Like you can at least compare the level of thinking, the level of ideas, but also language, you know? Like good writer, very good writer, but you have a decent English in comparison. Like even if you don't speak as beautiful as you write, but you must have a solid English. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you must be able to convey the ideas.
Yeah. So.
That's totally right. You know, I always feel like I don't know what to tell people about advice regarding an interview, because always the way I do it is very different. I just try to get myself very excited about what I'm going to say. I think about it, and then I'm like, I'm gonna step there and just gonna talk, and I think I did that when during the Susi interview at the embassy, where like you asked me about. It's like I didn't feel that I was stressed. I actually wanted you to ask me more, because I felt that what I'm going to say is something very important, and I think each one of you must know.
Yeah.
and so after like 15 minutes, I remember, I think it was Leah who said, like, do you have anything else like you want to
That's
say?
the last question.
Yeah.
Usually we used to ask.
And at that moment, in my mind, I was like, yeah, there are many things I want to say. But at the same time, I don't want to take time. I don't want to take time from people. And so I was like, no, that's
no,
okay.
really.
Yeah. And so when you're so excited, when you're so passionate about what you're saying, I think like that passion will overcome everything else, like all the stress. Like you really don't care where you are, because you really want to say those things. You really want to answer those questions.
But my advice would be, don't overwhelm your panel. Like don't go beyond what you were asked to, because it may like not embarrass them, but it may disturb them, because they have like
Something specific they're looking for.
first, but second, they also have their daily agenda, and they don't want you to mess up their agenda. So like their schedule, I mean, you know, not agenda, but their schedule. And I mean, like, you should stay concise and precise in whether interviews, in essays, whatever. Just address what you were asked to. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very important point for sure.
Yeah.
I read in one of your posts that you had COVID-19.
I did. Yeah.
Can you tell us about the experience?
Oh my God.
How do you think you got it?
So, could be anywhere, because I was going out, I went to work, I met up with friends, but I can tell you how I discovered. So what happened is, I went to my best friend's house for lunch. I think it was Friday, June 13, I believe, or 12. And few days later, she told me that her husband's friend or colleague was tested positive, and her husband is going to test. So her husband tested, and he was in the first place positive, but apparently a fake positive. He ended up being negative, and I tested myself, because she said, you guys, we were two friends at that place, so we tested. My other friend was negative, and I was positive. And so from there, I stayed at home for the quarantine. I took medicine for 10 days. And then I was completely isolated with my grandma. My grandma literally was fighting me, because she didn't want to leave the house. She's like, no, I'm not going anywhere, you know? Because she's 80, and I was afraid for her,
that's very
you know?
dangerous.
And she's like, listen, I'm not going anywhere. Like, deal with it. I'm staying here. So I stayed in my room, and it was actually manageable. I stayed in my room. The door was completely locked all day. If I leave the room to use the restroom or whatsoever, so I wear a mask, and I sanitize my hands, and I go out, use whatever I use, and then clean after me, you know, like clean everything after me, and go back to my room, eat in my room. And I was leaving. I was going out of the house every day at 6. I would take my car, like go straight to my car with my mask, take my car, have a good drive, go by the beach, probably walk, and come back home right before the lockdown. So it was a terrible experience psychologically very very heavy experience, but physically, thanks to God, I had nothing. I had no symptoms. I was asymptomatic all the time.
So what was the psychological about?
So the psychological was about first rejection. You feel, actually you reject yourself as a person because you do not accept it. You are like, it happened only to the others, you know? So you do not accept yourself. I rejected it, but you also feel rejected because even in my neighborhood, like I would see like people looking at me because they knew, you know, like I didn't want to hide it. I wanted to protect people, and I didn't want to hide it. And there is no reason to hide it. It's better to tell people so that they take, you know, like
measures that they don't come to you.
Yeah, they take measures. But there were people like who used to call me from the window. I would go out and talk to them like from a distance, and they didn't want me to stay isolated, you know, like in my neighborhood. But it's very hard in terms of I'm a hyperactive person, so I'm someone who is like all the time doing something, all the time. It's whether going out, see friends. Like I'm not doing well if I'm doing nothing and just staying like that, you know? Like I always like to do something. And the fact, you know, believe it or not, I did not maybe watch an entire season on Netflix. Like lockdown all the time on my phone. I did not do like the stereotypes of watch TV
like
and
24/7.
read books. I did not do all this. I was all the time on my phone, reading stuff, talking to people. So rejection of oneself, but also the other's rejection, and you feel like you're a danger for people, and people won't like get
to be close to you.
Yeah, get to you anymore. Like it's over. And also the fact that you may spread it to other people. That's also psychologically heavy, you know.
Yeah, I bet so.
Yeah, and have no life anymore, you know, like just staying at home, waiting for 14 days, counting the days, counting the hours. It was not easy.
Was it a relief for you when all this was over?
Oh my God. I think I went outside without a mask even. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Breathing at last.
Man, it was something else. It was very hard. It was very hard. But also, I should say that I found myself with myself. So all like the pending issues, all things that I wanted to fix, all problems that I used to procrastinate and let for tomorrow, I was actually facing those, you know. So that was also hard, but it was a good thing. It was a very good thing. And this did not start with my infection, but actually started since the lockdown, you know. Since the lockdown, I totally was me, myself, and I. And I think today I would say that was a blessing or a good opportunity for me to look into issues that I was pushing like for tomorrow every day, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally understand what you're saying. Well, glad you're doing okay.
Thank you.
All right, Hamdi, thank you so much for coming to our podcast.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Cool.